Welcome to the Daily Crew, episode 14. I am the internet's Tyler Douthit. Joining me today is Ben Brown, and we are your source for unimportant information and other fun things. We discuss some random topics and see what happens from there. Ben, what is the first random topic of today to discuss?
Okay, the first topic is, what is your favorite old people thing to do?
My favorite old people thing to do, I enjoy sometimes just standing by the back window staring at the yard. I would see my dad do that when I was younger, and it never made any sense.
Yeah.
A little bit older, just kind of like the quiet, just staring at stuff.
Yeah, stare out into the street, see what the neighbors are doing.
Yeah.
You know, kind of be nosy. I favorite old people thing to do is probably just go to bed early. Just go to bed, like
No doubt.
That's just really nice. I also enjoy getting up in the morning and reading the newspaper and having my breakfast. I remember as a kid I would never do that.
Did you get the paper?
Well, today's paper now is reading the news on the phone. Same thing.
I enjoy that when that happens. Yeah, like
Yeah.
read through some news articles.
Yeah.
Nice cup of coffee or something. If you actually have it at home, which some people don't.
Yes, like I can't imagine not starting my morning off that way. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, what do people do while they eat? Like, do they just stare? What do they look at? Look at the table? I don't know. I'm trying to think of old. I tend to like a lot of plain things nowadays, like plain donuts. Not really.
Plain donuts?
Yeah, like the old-fashioned donuts with nothing on them. Well, I don't know why. I
What's that all about?
love taking that and dipping them into coffee. It's really good.
Well, I enjoy like watching the nightly news a lot, more than I ever thought I would.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I get to watch that like without much going on, like eat dinner while watching it. I always enjoy that. That's like the most. That I could eat dinner and watch the nightly news.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that.
One-
It is an old person thing to say.
Yeah, one thing I have not done yet is having to make it a daily thing where I gotta see the weather every day. Like, I remember my grandparents, they used to be like every night, they had to like watch the news for the weather every night.
I still look at the weather every day, like when we're thinking, and Karen more than me, but how are we gonna put the kids, what coach they be on? But that's kind of, you don't have to wait for that information anymore. You look at your phones, oh, it's gonna be this low, this high today.
Yeah.
And just move on.
Yeah, I remember going over to my grandparents' house and the weather channel was always on, and we're not allowed to change the channel.
I remember watching that too, and they had it was like local weather on the 8th. Like every 8th, they would show your local weather. And you think that's how it used to be.
Yeah.
That reminds me. Do you remember that like the TV guide channels, things like that?
Yeah.
We would watch it scroll through for like 5 minutes just to see what was going to be on in like half an hour on one station.
Yes.
You waited that always felt like forever.
Yes.
And that used to be what you had to do, and that was at the time probably like a big step up instead of like getting a TV guide in the mail or whatever.
Yeah, I remember that like especially if you had like HBO or any of those movie channels, you would watch that TV Guide channel to see what movies were coming on next. Yes, and that did take forever. Yeah.
It did take forever. Let's see what else old. I enjoy watching PBS documentaries.
Oh yeah, documentaries is a good one, I think.
My parents would never really, as far as I know, have never really been into that. I don't know if it's like an old person thing or just things I enjoy. I don't really know.
Right, I don't know if that's an old person thing either. But I don't know. I would say going to bed at an early time is my favorite thing to do anyway. So
I do enjoy. The Olympics are on right now, and we all want to stay up and watch it. But they start a lot of the stuff at like 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and just Karen and I were talking this morning because this thing was on like 10 o'clock last night, and we weren't awake to watch whatever happened. And I remember as a kid being up that late, and my parents being up late all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what's different. I mean, our kids are younger than I was when they would be up that late.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was different, like as they get older and the kids are more doing all their own stuff to get ready for school. That's probably gonna impact that a little bit, I guess. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of, because I do notice like they get up early too. They tend to get up early.
Yeah.
They go to bed early, but they also get up really early, which I am a morning person, especially on the weekends. I like getting up early and starting my day and getting breakfast and all that stuff. That's like the highlight of my Saturday and Sunday.
So it's all downhill after breakfast?
Yeah, pretty much. That's like
I
the
like-
best. It's like the best part. You get up and go get donuts or go get muffins or something. It's,
Well, I've heard like older people. I research a lot of stuff on sleep, and they say older people don't really need more sleep than younger people.
Yeah.
But your body becomes more wired to want to get like to shift those hours earlier.
Mhm.
Because instead of like staying up till midnight, sleep until 8, you might go to bed at 9 and get up at 5, and your
Yeah.
body feels the same. So it's still like 8 hours either way. But
Right.
it just shifts earlier.
Yeah, that's I used to think that I used to be like that. I used to be like, oh, I gotta stay up late, to get the most out of my day. But then I would just sleep in the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it either way it comes out about the same. You
Yeah.
go to bed early, you wake up early, you're
Mhm.
still getting the same amount of time. Like me, I'd rather get more time in the morning than
Mhm.
like late at night when it's dark out. Like
Yeah.
if I'm not going anywhere, if I'm not going out anywhere, doing
Yeah.
anything, if I'm just staying home.
Getting up early.
Mm-hmm.
Reading the paper. I remember your dad would always, isn't he like most mornings like sit and have a cup of coffee? A lot of times
Yes.
like out when it's nicer, like outside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice cup of coffee, Steve Brown.
Yes, that's one thing I've not done yet, is being able to just go outside on my front porch and have coffee and
Yeah.
watch squirrels do whatever they need
Yeah.
to do. You know what I'm saying? I might be getting there, but not there yet.
All right, what's next on our list?
The next one is, what is the politest way to end a conversation that you're not interested in?
The most polite way to end a conversation you're not interested in.
Oh, hey, I gotta take this phone call.
Yeah. I gotta take this call, or I gotta call my wife or something like that. You could kind of
Yeah.
use like something important, somebody that would understand that's vague enough
Yeah.
they can't really pinpoint it.
You know what? I typically don't ever have this problem because I feel like a lot of the times if the conversation is boring, it's probably because you're not adding to it to
Yeah.
make it.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I'd always try to add to the conversation, ask them questions about whatever it is
Mhm.
they're talking about, and then kind of make it interesting.
Yeah.
I know sometimes that's easier said than done because they don't. When you're talking to someone, they don't always leave it open-ended to where you can ask questions.
Yeah.
They just keep talking.
The most polite way. It's almost more fun to think of unpolite ways. Impolite?
Yeah.
Impolite ways
I-
to end a conversation, but polite
I
ways.
feel like this is I'm sorry, I'm just not interested. Can we just
Yeah.
move on?
Like I would keep talking about this, but I really don't want to.
Right. Right.
Another polite way. It's almost like how you dodge things, right?
Yes.
And I don't want to give away any good ones because that way people will know when I use them the next time.
Right. Yeah, I just feel like anything that's blatantly obvious or you're being rude that you're just checking out. I think the one is, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Mm-hmm.
That is, yeah, don't do that. I just feel like if the conversation's boring, I don't think you should try to way to get out of it. I think you should try to find a way to make it interesting. Try to
Yeah.
find a way to ask questions, add to it. I feel like that's the polite thing
Mhm.
to do. If you're bored of a conversation, is don't run away from it. Just try to engage a little bit more to make it interesting for yourself.
Yeah. Mhm.
I feel like that's what you should do. So that's what I try to do, and I'm a talker anyway. But trying to think of to totally end the conversation though. If I really wanted to, I think the best excuse is just say, hey, I'm sorry, I really got to go do this real quick.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's not even a lie. You really do have things you got to do.
That's
Because
true.
typically that's when you're not paying attention to somebody, is when you have other things on your mind.
Mhm.
You
You don't pay much attention.
Yeah.
It's almost like, remember in The Social Network when Mark Zuckerberg's character was saying it'd be nice to go to a party and know who actually had a boyfriend. They'll look at these girls at some party,
Yeah.
say who has a boyfriend, who doesn't have a boyfriend,
Yeah.
and then from that, the Facebook thing of in relationship, single, all
Yeah.
those was born, fine. If there was a similar thing,
Yeah.
you could wear something like I'm interested in a conversation or I'm not.
I wish Amanda was here because she might know a little bit more about this. But my grandma told me one time that back in when she was growing up, it was pretty normal for a woman to wear something that signified that they were single. They'll either have
Really?
a flower, something like a flower that was supposed to mean that they were single,
Did they
or
really?
sometimes there was a wristband It lets people know, like, there's just different things. I mean, it was like, it just depends on where you live. But there was always a secret code of of letting people, like, I hear about, toe rings.
It might have been too secret because I remember in my single days,
Yeah.
I was wondering like which one of these
Yeah.
people has
Well,
a boyfriend.
I think that's a trend that kind of disappeared as
Died out.
time went on. By the time it got to our time, I think it was already kind of not a really well thing. But I know my grandma said that when she was young in high school, that was completely normal. If you were single, you wore the flower, or you wore a wristband, or you did something, and everyone knew just by looking at you that you were single.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that either. And I was like, why do we not do this today? Because I feel like it would solve all kinds of problems.
I always feel like that would be an interesting thing, and I was never one to really like, go out to bars and stuff like that, but I did go to a bar a couple times in my life when I was younger. And I remember thinking too, it would be helpful because I'm sure there are women at these places, like some would love to be approached by a guy, and some would really not want to be approached by a guy. And if there was some way when they enter, like you could signal, like, do you want, like, I don't know, a necklace or some marker, like you said, like, I am interested in guys approaching me, or I am not interested in that, so then guys can act accordingly.
Yeah, it is. It's such a guessing game. It really is. Only thing that only worked well for me was just a flat out ask, like, are you taking yes or no? And then whatever they said, I was like, okay, cool. I feel like that was always the best way because I never knew. But you know what? I feel like I'm a lot of guys were very oblivious to things.
I think a lot of guys.
Like, we missed the hint, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I'm like, or I'm always afraid that I'm misreading a situation and I'm assuming the wrong thing. So I just naturally go like, oh, you know what? I better not go for it.
Karen says I'm super oblivious.
Yes.
And there will be times that she claims to see some woman interacting with me in like a flirtatious way, and I'm like, all she was doing was just saying something to me. And like, how would I even know these things? I think I am probably pretty oblivious.
Yeah. Again, I wish Amanda was here, but I feel like women they don't they hate that. They hate that we just don't pick up on the hints and the signs, like, because they're always getting aggravated. Like, why are we not talking to them? Why are we not engaging back? Because it's like we're just always assuming that we're just misreading the situation.
Well, and I think a lot of women don't notice that men are so below them on the emotional reading of things.
Yeah.
And that's not a rash to women, that's a rash to men.
Yeah.
Because we are so less than them when it comes to especially emotions, acknowledging and understanding, reading situations with emotions. They're just so far ahead of us that we can never keep up. And I don't think they realize they're expecting us to follow them in like a master's class in college, and we are trying to get by in 4th grade. And that's I think and we're like, we don't even know what's happening. And they're like, well, why can't you follow this? This is already where we're at.
I think they are far better at paying better attention to detail than men in general.
I think so, absolutely.
They just look at every small thing and they can piece things together, where we're just kind of like oblivious, because we're very like, it's either got to be this, it's got to be so obvious, or else we miss it.
And just thinking of men and women. So the other day, my daughter Emma, right? She's 8, turning 9 pretty soon, and she thought like a neighbor girl was mad at her, and it was this whole thing like, are we still friends? Are we not still friends? Very very typical little kid, especially skews girl kind of things. But you think of movies like Mean Girls and stuff like that, and I told her, and I said, you're gonna find as you get older that boys tend to fight with their fists and women tend to fight with their words. Like, women have this whole sub like emotions and like the sub thing. And remember like Mean Girls, which I think is a great movie, but 20 years old, by the way. It does not feel like it's 20 years old, but great movie. And there's one lead character, right, Rachel McAdams or Regina George in the movie, and she is like, oh, I love your sweater, and she walks away, bitch. Like as soon as she walks away. And it's such a fascinating thing, because guys are not that way.
No.
Guys will like fight or wrestle or just very much on the surface, and then just move on from that. And women, man, they'll plot and scheme
Yes.
for years, and
Yes.
it's so
I definitely agree.
so complicated.
I feel like you're far worse off getting on a woman's bad side than you are a man's bad side.
There's that old saying, "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned."
Yes.
That is absolutely true. It is absolutely true. Oh.
Yeah.
And no woman here even had a woman's side. Sorry, it's not mansplaining.
Yeah.
It's guys discussing the situation.
Right. I know. That's why I said I wish Amanda was here
Yeah.
to kind of talk about this. But all right. Are we ready
Next
for,
topic,
for
yeah.
the next topic? Okay. What is the trend that you can't wait to die off?
Trend. I can't wait to die off. I don't know I don't even know what the trends are.
My trend is using a specific name to specify a group of people.
Oh
Like
yeah.
Karens, Carols. I miss the good old days when you just flat out called somebody a cuss word. And then that settled
Yeah.
it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
now you gotta like put someone's name into it. Because now it's like confusing because if your name is Karen, you're like, wait, I'm a Karen, I don't act like that. You know what I'm saying? It's
I know what the trend I want to see end is cancel culture.
yes.
Because yes, there are truly bad human beings out there. There are also many human beings that don't know everything to ever exist or
Yes.
everything's ever been said, and sometimes make mistakes, as every person does
Yes.
routinely in their life.
Like-
And if you make a mistake because you don't know everything that's ever happened in the history of the world, that suddenly you're a bad person, you're canceled. That
Yeah.
does bother me.
Yeah, it's like why do we hold people that are so successful at what they do at a higher standard than ourselves when it comes to like
Yeah.
anything? We make mistakes, you know, we're all human, they're just like us. And like I said last episode, if you were to document my entire life, I'm sure there's a couple days you could take out that would make me look terrible and
Yeah.
you want to cancel me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
and it, especially like when people get canceled for things that they did when they were teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, come on, man.
We would all be canceled.
If we had Twitter
Yes.
in our high school days, I could probably name about 30 people that I went to high school with, including myself, that probably would be canceled today. If we said, you know,
I think that every person at least 30 years old would be canceled
Mhm.
if their teenage years were documented.
yeah,
Every single person.
Right.
Because you don't do the most thought out things when you're a teenager.
yeah,
I don't know the exact science, but I've read things talking about the decision making portions of a brain
yes.
aren't finalized better until after your teenage years, which is
Yeah.
why teenagers act so impulsively and don't make all the smartest decisions, and has been for I don't know ever.
Yeah. And you know what though? I don't like it. I don't like it one so bit because if anything, we should be encouraging people to speak out. So then at least we can have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
You know, because people's minds can change. People can change. Like that's the whole thing about cancel culture is they act like once you have a certain view on something, that's the view that you'll have on it forever, and you're not going to change your mind.
And you should have always known that since you were born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
When I was 10
feel
years
like
old, I didn't
I'm
know you
sorry.
should use this word, but you used it when you were 10, so we
Yeah.
can't have you here anymore.
Yeah, so I'm a believer that people can change. People do change all the time. Like I said, I'm not the same person that I've always been.
Mhm.
I've changed. My mindset's changed. My outlook on things, different perspectives, experience things. You know what I'm saying? Like I think we all go through that. That's just called
Mhm.
growing up. That's
Yeah,
called
isn't that growing as a person?
Yeah.
You learn what you used to do,
Yeah.
and you realize, oh, I did that. That probably wasn't smart because I've learned and grown
Yeah.
since then.
Right.
Isn't that the journey of like humanity?
Yeah.
That sounds a little too deep, but to learn and grow
Mhm.
as you get older, isn't that what we all hope to do?
Yes. I mean, a lot of the people in these comment sections on Twitter and everywhere every one of them would almost be canceled if
Mhm.
they were,
Yeah.
if we were given the
Mhm.
same standards as like celebrities. You know, like I just feel like it's kind of hypocritical. We're not all perfect.
I think one of the
Yeah.
most entertaining criticisms, like cancel culture and things like that, is amongst actors and actresses.
Yes.
That if you have a particular role, that you don't have someone just like that role be that actor or actress,
Yeah.
that's unacceptable.
Hmm.
And I find that extremely interesting and intriguing because isn't it an actor's job to pretend to be someone they are not?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't even understand.
Yeah.
Like, you have someone that's not gay pretend to be gay. Okay, fine, and then it snowballs and escalates from there. You have someone that wasn't the exact descent, play that exact descent person in a movie.
Yeah.
Oh, you have someone. Oh, no, you got to have someone that's 40 years old with someone that was 40 years old then.
Right.
And it just escalates.
Exactly.
And it
Like,
becomes.
we don't.
It's their job to act.
Yeah.
It's their job to be other people.
I mean, they hardly anymore. Remember, they used to never have teenagers play teenagers in high school movies.
Yeah.
They were always in their 20s. Like, older
Yeah.
people playing
At least.
teenagers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Yeah, I think like their job is to act. I think with if the issue is they just did a bad job, then just say that. They
Mhm.
said they didn't play the part right. They didn't They didn't do this. They didn't do their homework and researching. Say that. Don't say like, oh, you should have casted this person because they are better qualified. I just feel like there's so much more to it than that. Like, I mean, like, because like again, like these movies are expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of money's at stake. A lot of times, a lot of these movies get majority of their money back opening weekend. If you know what I'm saying, then really opening weekend is going to reflect on how the movie's going to do for the rest of the time, because that's when they get the majority of the
Yeah.
money. So like, if you're who would you rather put as top billing? Some well-known actor that people love to go see and has a good track record, or somebody that nobody's ever heard of? Every now and then they'll take a gamble on an unknown actor or actress, put them in top billing, and then it'll do well. That's not always the case.
And that's normally on purpose, right? Like
Yeah.
when you want an unknown person, someone that's not really typecast or known for something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see it both ways. I like it when they give a new person a chance, because like every celebrity was given a chance at some point. You know what I'm saying? Like, they weren't always well known.
Doesn't it seem to be, I think it happens when they expect big movies that will be like trilogies and all this.
Yeah.
I think, don't they try to get them unknown so they can sign a contract
Yeah.
real cheap?
Just to do more movies.
Yeah, like we sign a
to
3-movie
stay.
contract cheap because you're an unknown person.
Yeah.
And then you're famous, and then probably like, I bet like the Twilight people, I bet, and like Harry Potter, they were kids anyway.
Yeah.
But when you expect to make like 3, 5, 10 movies, and because
Mhm.
I'm sure like Fast and Furious movies cost a ton to make, and I bet a ton to all these actors and actresses that are in there, because they're all super famous now. They're all like getting a new contracts versus paying what you were when you were unknown versus when you're a known.
Yeah.
I think, get them cheap.
Yeah, and then also a lot of it has to do with the way the movie is pitched to the said producer movie studio that's making it. A lot of times these writers have somebody in mind
I've heard that.
to play the role before they even pitch it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So they're like, well, if I can get Will Ferrell on board to play Elf, if I can get him to play Elf, would you agree to help me make this
Yeah,
movie?
that's a
And
good
they're like,
point.
well, if you can get Will Ferrell on board, sign us up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, a lot of it, it's just so hard to get a movie, to get a script greenlit and made, that like a lot of that stuff is predetermined way before
Mhm.
they actually get in, before anyone else is casted.
Really? I guess that makes sense, yeah, because if you have a big name actor, like, if you can do this and we'll do this. I've actually heard
Yeah.
stories too of people kind of like poker bluffing that.
Yeah.
Like, if I get Will Ferrell, will you do this? And like, if I get this actor, like, and you tell Will Ferrell, like, well, if I can get this director, will you say this?
Yeah.
And it's like the cops, when they come in and say, hey, your buddy already said that you were guilty.
Yeah.
And like, we say, okay, fine.
Which
and
is-
then you tell like 3 parties, oh, we'll have Bruckheimer produce this and this. Oh, okay. And then everyone says yes, doesn't realize later on that no one had said yes then,
Right.
until they all said yes later.
Right. Yeah. Which is why you'll notice a lot of these actors and producers, they tend to work with the same people over and over again. Like The Rock, he has the $7 production. He has the same producer. I mean, he does produce it himself too, so that helps. But like, you see a lot of like movies are made with people that they've worked with in the past.
Like a lot of director
Mhm.
and actor combos, or like probably like Hanks and Spielberg, like and you become like buddies too.
Yeah.
DiCaprio, and before we started like in Scorsese,
Yeah.
they like to do a lot of the same
Mhm.
ones. Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
You're starting to like somebody, and then how they
Mhm.
do things. Is next am I the a-hole?
Yes.
All right, so the next coming up, am I the a-hole? There's a story of what happened, and then we debate who or why or how much is the a-hole in the story.
Okay, so this one's really easy. So basically, this couple just had their wedding, and supposedly that the groom's parents ruined it ruined the wedding, and now they're trying to blame, like, basically, his parents got into a fight. I guess she loves her job. She's obsessed with her job, and I guess the husband, the groom's dad asked her, like, do you love your job more than me? Apparently she said yes. Like, well, do you even love me anymore? Meanwhile, this is at a wedding.
This is at the wedding.
This is at the
so
wedding.
That, like they had
Wedding
already said I
reception.
do, so like they already said I do, and
Yeah.
then the couple were breaking into a fight
Yeah.
about career and priorities.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the groom's dad was like, well, if you don't love me anymore, I want a divorce, and then took off his ring and threw it at her.
Wait, no, the parents of the groom got in a fight,
Yeah.
not the bride and groom.
Yes.
Okay, the
groom,
parents of the groom.
The parents of
Okay.
the groom got into a fight, which the guy, he took off his ring, threw it at her, and said he wanted a divorce.
Yeah.
Made a whole scene, caused the whole thing or whatever. Now the bride, a few weeks later, the bride is upset, thinks that the groom's dad should apologize for what he did for causing a scene, but the groom, he was like, my dad didn't do anything wrong. My mom was way out of line with what she said. She said some very hurtful things to him, and he can't control his emotions. Like, it just happened. He didn't mean to do it and stuff like that. So he doesn't think his dad should apologize. But so who do we think is the a-hole in this scenario?
Both parents of the groom are both a-holes.
Yes.
Because it can be said, I think a lot of brides have a really strong vision of what they want their wedding and wedding reception to be,
Mhm.
and a lot of guys, including myself, don't really appreciate the magnitude of that.
Yes.
But it is a very important day, and they really like it to be about themselves. And
Yes.
all the attention, and it's like one of the few days in your life you feel like everyone does whatever you say, and to not be able to control it enough to take it outside or wait till later that night,
Right.
or something like, not to mention, it's not like a stranger couple, like our son's getting married.
Yeah.
Let's hold it together long enough. Just stare at me in silence, be awkward, and then we'll discuss this when we get home.
Yeah.
You could have waited a couple hours for a fight of that magnitude.
Yes. I agree. I
Yeah.
mean, there are certain times for stuff like that. He could have held back those sensitive questions that
Mhm.
would have got her, that would have caused the whole thing. He was the one that made it a possibility. Like, he
Mhm.
kind of opened himself up for that.
Yeah.
I think that all of that could have waited. I mean, he's waited the entire time they've been married.
Mhm.
Like, couldn't you just wait one more night? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it was just bad timing, poor choice, not understanding where you're at. And like you said, like, weddings, a lot goes into them.
Mhm.
Cost a lot of money, which they probably helped pay for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And then, like you said, like, the brides, they want their weddings to go a certain way, and they don't want anything to ruin it, because
Mhm.
that's the one night that they get.
Yeah.
And I completely understand why she would be upset. And yeah, I do think that the groom's dad both parents actually should apologize for what happened.
Yeah, both parents should apologize. That's unacceptable.
Yes.
One, just to be like a considerate human and not take the positive attention away from what's actually happening into negative attention.
Yeah.
That's just as a guest to any wedding, that makes you already an a-hole.
Yeah.
And then on top of that it's like family, parents of the groom, that's even worse.
Yeah.
And I know couples fight for lots of different reasons, lots of different ways.
Yeah.
But you could have held off a little bit.
Yes.
A little bit for the sake of your kid.
Yeah.
Like, just suck it up for a couple hours and go home and fight.
Right. Whenever you're at somebody else's wedding, your only job is just not ruin it. That's really your
That's
only
your
job is don't ruin these people's time.
I think you're right.
That's your job.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it. If someone
Mhm.
invites you to a wedding, you just don't ruin it.
Or make it more fun.
Or-
Because
or-
I think the
yeah.
bride and the groom, they enjoy people
Yes.
having fun at their wedding reception. I think they
Mhm.
do. So I would say, I would counter, not so much ruin it, but inject positivity and happiness
Yes.
into the wedding.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I
Try to
said,
build it up.
that's why I've heard people talk in the past, like, they'll invite people that they're not necessarily close with, let's say it's like a work friend or a
Mhm.
friend of a friend that they know is an icebreaker, tends to
It's fun, right?
start
Fun
start
person.
parties, has
Yeah.
a fun
Might
personality.
start dancing before someone
Yeah,
else.
they like, you always want
Yeah.
at least one of those, you
Yeah.
know, at your wedding, because then you can kind of grease the wheels a little
Yeah.
bit, you know what I'm saying, get things going. Like, I've heard that people do that, you know, doing that in the past.
I think a good sign of a good wedding reception is how many births occur 9 months later. Because there were
Yeah.
2 births on, I forget who they were, but at Karen and mine's wedding, about 9 months later, 2 kids were born. Not to take credit, but that's a sign of a good party.
Yep, I would say so.
Sign of a good party.
It is.
And don't have, I know that everybody drinks and I can respect that entirely, but don't be the person that has a reception without an open bar option.
Yeah.
People don't want to go to that if it's not even a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just a thing. And you don't
Yeah.
drink if you want to drink, but many people want that at a reception. They kind of expect it. It's kind of the reason they go to weddings and receptions to begin with, is the reception bar.
Yeah.
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 Anything else to add for today?
No, that's it. Like I said, I think the parents that caused the scene, they need to apologize, and I do think the groom needs to understand that and
Yeah.
understand
Mhm.
why his new wife would be upset.
Yeah. 2 a-holes in that story, and they're both the groom's parents.
Yep.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the Daily Crew. See you next time.
Okay.